Hey Tony, okay, so for this life, I'm more excited about this because I wanted to bring in a life as a female for this one since we've been getting a lot of male lives for you. And so that was my intention. And with that, it's interesting because it brought up a place where we were recently. So we're going to go to where we were, what you did with the majority of your time, a couple of important days, the death, and the lesson learned. So we're going to go back to the Americas, okay? And I'm going back into South America, but this time we're going to go more into the heart of it. I want to say we're in a dense jungle area, lots of forestry. It's in the South America, but it's the central, a bit north South America. I want to say you're not too far from traveling north to what is today known as Brazil. And I want to say this was very, very, very long ago, a long time ago. This is before any even potential discovery by another people's coming over. You're a hardcore native, and this is a female life, and there's a tribe involved. These are indigenous tribes we're looking at, and at this time I feel like most tribes are aware of the other tribes and where not to go and where to go. And I feel like your tribe is part of a system that is there's like violent and non-violent at this time, so to speak, just based on belief systems, and violent in the form of like sacrificial. And I feel like your tribe is a non kind of sacrificial tribe, and I feel like those tribes kind of have a system going. And so like they're showing me just like a system on a map of an area that is like traveling, where it's like a safety zone almost. And I feel like you're in the safety zone. And so what you do with the majority of your time, we're looking at art here. And it's really interesting because I'm seeing you working with other women with this kind of art. And it's interesting because the art you're doing here is not what they consider art, because it was utilized in their daily life. But today we see it as art. This is stuff that we would put in a museum and admire. It's almost like dishware or pottery that we would find artistic, but they used it. They needed it. And it wasn't simple. It was like a technique that they used that was something that they had practiced for a long time to get to what they like. It was, I want to say it's like, okay, there was not that they had a kiln, but that it was fired in some way. Like they used heat to make it durable in a sense. And there was also certain markings on the edges that were made. And it's not particularly ornate, but it's very, specific to them. So these tribes that were non-sacrificial, the less violent ones that all work together, they kind of had their own designs, if that's the case. And it's not exactly like one of those wax seals that tells you where it came from, so to speak, because these designs again are not very ornate, but it is kind of like a little signature, of where it came from. And I want to say there's a molding involved, and there's a certain kind of dirt involved, a mud from a river mixed with something. It was a very particular mud. So you worked with your gals, your sisters here, in retrieving it, and then there was like a sitting period. So it was like this, it was a process, and you were very good at this process. So keep in mind in your current life the connections you can make as far as if you have any desire to take an art class, you don't know what you might want to do, or if you've been drawn to something, it very well could be pottery. You might be very good with clay, molding, using your hands in that way. And also, you might be interested in things that require a process. Like, you might not be someone who just wants to get the paint out and just start splashing it out of canvas. You might be someone that enjoys things that take time to build into something beautiful or something creative or something useful, so to speak. So you might be a process kind of person, and that can come from here. And it's showing the final process. What you would do with it is you would all sit together and do this together in like a circle. And it was really it was a good time. Like, you really enjoyed it. You enjoyed the time. It wasn't something that was like, oh, this is so much work. It wasn't like that. You enjoyed this. And you also, there's something extra you did where it wasn't unusual because all of you took turns doing it. It's kind of like you all at one point introduced something new to the circle. So let's say, yeah, you did the usual, maybe cup or plate or whatever it was. Maybe even, it might even be like forming statues of deities in a, like, little clay figures. And I don't know if they were used as dolls, like mere dolls for the tribe or children at the time, but I feel like they served a bigger purpose. Like, if there's a doll found today of these people, we might either think it's a doll, or we might discover that it is indeed like a replica of a deity, like almost like a protective deity. I don't know if voodoo was involved with these people. It very well could have been. Doing voodoo, I feel like, wouldn't go against the whole violent thing of the other tribes. So I feel like there was an aspect of magic put in with these dolls. They weren't simply dolls, but there were dolls. And I feel like you all took turns, I think that's what it is, introducing a new doll or a new deity statue, whatever it was, to the tribe. So it wasn't just like a frivolous thing. It was something that was valued. So your work was valued. And you were valued. And I feel like gender wasn't such an issue at this point. I don't feel like it was, oh, the women go make your dolls. I don't think it was like that. I think it was actually a very valuable occupation. Okay, so let's go to an important day. Okay, so this is the either conquered or welcome card, meaning there's new people coming in. And we are seeing friends. And I'm getting that this is a group, a tribe that is coming to join your tribe. And I feel like this tribe has come from like very heavy sorrows, and I feel like this tribe at one time was invaded, or something was happening where the more negative tribes, or the more vicious or aggressive tribes, which I feel like were more south for some reason, I feel like they came and abducted a large number of these people, who the rest of them fled because they weren't prepared. It feels like an unprepared, unprepared attack on these people who fled to come and find people like themselves, which would be you, the non-violent, non-aggressive tribes, in a sense. So they come to you, and you welcome them. And it's very easy to welcome these people because you all recognize each other as the same group that kind of hangs in the same area, like almost like maybe you've bumped into each other for certain reasons. I feel like there's even something where during like lunar eclipses, something with these certain seasonal things having to do with maybe the moon or something like that. I feel like you all converge anyway, like once a year or twice a year. There's some kind of convergence that takes place where you actually have met each other and you know each other, where there has been treaties almost made, like verbal, like, yes, if you ever need us, we're here kind of thing. So I feel like you know these people, and they come in and you welcome them into the tribe. And there's a feeling of contentedness because there's nothing wrong with these people. There's no one is like, should we do this? Maybe we shouldn't. There's none of that. There's no hesitation. This is a very easy convergence taking place. So we're seeing new people come in, and in your current life, you might be someone who, this might speak to you in the way that you might be someone who accepts people until they show you that you can't. So you're someone that maybe gives respect until it's taken away, or you welcome people with open arms until they give you reason not to. So that's a feeling I get here. The next important day, let's see. I also see women joining your circle of artists here. I feel like there are at least a couple. I feel like there's something, like they bring something to the table. There's something interesting here. Like almost like in your current life, if you like learning new things, like maybe you're someone that actually likes to learn new techniques to things that you've been doing a while. Like let's say you fish and then someone comes along and they're like, oh, did you try this bait for this fish? And you love that. You love like trying new things to get better results at things you already like to do, kind of thing. Maybe I feel like you're not someone that would kind of be like, I know this already, I've got it, like I'm good, thanks, go on your way. I don't feel like you're that kind of person, so keep that in mind if that does speak to you. And then in this second day, we're looking at a wowzer day. So I'm trying to see what is happening on this wowzer day that involves a soul group. And these are feelings of loneliness. What is happening here? A wowzer day. Okay. I honestly feel like that you had a mate by this point, and I feel like he was part of a hunting group, and I feel like they used to go out, not individual, but in maybe 3s or 4s, maybe 5s, like a small group would go out for hunting. And I feel like on this day, your mate was one of them that went out, and I feel like they were tracking something that led them to come head to head with the other tribes that you didn't like. And so the other I feel like the violent tribes and then the violent tribes hunting group and your hunting group came face to face over hunting the same animal. And I feel like it was a larger animal, like this animal was good meat, good eating, so to speak. Like it would feed a lot of people. It was the season for this animal. Like it's almost like you were waiting for this animal to grow into a certain size, like to reach adulthood. Like you didn't, like how deer, like how you can't shoot a deer till it's a certain age or has certain amount of something, like certain amount of horns or whatever it is. I feel like it was like you were waiting for it to get to a certain size, and that's why both of you were hunting it at the same time. It's like you both had your eyes on the prize. And I feel like there was an attack that happened that made it so they didn't come home. And I feel like you just were left, that was it. Like you lost your mate. I feel like that's what this day is you lost your mate because of the enemy tribe. And there's nothing you can do about it, because it's not like you're gonna go, no one's gonna go and like get revenge. I feel like revenge isn't in your wheelhouse here, or these people's wheelhouse. It's more like these are people that kind of flee, if anything. It doesn't mean they're weak or cowards. It's just there's something that goes against their nature that they won't be aggressive. I mean, if someone comes into their home, there might be, you might defend yourself, but overall, if you know someone's coming, it's the kind of thing where you would just pick up and go rather than fight. And so I feel like this day you're left alone. And I feel like that's a wowzer day for you. I feel like this is something, like a feeling you've never felt before, because everything until now was very easygoing, easy peasy, peaceful. Even though you knew of the bad tribes or the aggressive tribes, you never had to, there was no like face-to-face thing you've come across in your lifetime. It was more like stories from the generation before you. And I feel like you've lived a very peaceable like generation here. And then all of a sudden something happens and you are directly part of the new stories taking place, so to speak, because now this story of this hunting group that got taken, they are going to be the new story of the next generation, if that makes sense. So in your current life, you might be someone who doesn't like to be the the one that's talked about. Like, you might, I mean, like, you might like, you know, everyone likes to get, you know, an award for something great they've done. It's not that kind of thing. You just, there might be something, it's more like being talked about. Like, yeah, no one likes to be talked about, like, what goes on with them. Like, oh, did you hear, gossip. But, so no one likes to be gossiped about, but it might be something that you truly despise. You might be someone that truly despises gossip. Or there's something about gossip that that bothers you, or that you feel at a different level. Like, you might get, like, someone you know might be like, hey, don't be bothered by that, don't take it personally, it's nothing. You might hear that throughout your life because you might be someone that is kind of like you're pinched by it. There's something that just bothers you a little bit more than other people. So that's this day. So let's go to the death, and this is the murder card. So I'm trying to see what is happening. Where is this murder taking place? Yeah, okay. So, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the tribe. So that's the tribe. So this actually, this happening, them clashing, prompted the other tribe to return and talk to, I feel like they spread the word, oh, they're nearby, let's go get them. I feel like they see your tribe, as either slaves or sacrifice or useful in some way in a human form, like you're useful to them. It's not that they want to even breed with you, it's that they find you useful in like a slave fashion. And I feel like they come in and they do a huge number on your group. I feel people do get away, but I feel like you don't. I feel like I'm trying to see if, and I feel like they don't even intend to kill you. Actually, I don't even think they kill you at the spot where you live. Like, they do invade. I actually think they take you, and it's on the way back that they end up killing you, because I feel like you're such an issue for them. Like, you really do, you're trying to escape, fight, this, that. Like, you are such a bothersome trouble that, and I feel like while this is happening, you have your mate, the guy that they killed, I feel like he's in your mind, like he's on your mind. It's almost like you want to do him justice by not being easygoing. And I feel like they kill you on the way home, but they don't leave you there. I feel like they still bring your body anyway, just because they want to claim numbers. They want to show it. And I feel like they're also using your body as a way to influence the rest of the prisoners that they've taken, as in like, hey, see what can come of you, you better behave or you're gonna end up like her. So I feel like that is where we end with you, which is kind of morbid, so excuse that, but so that wasn't easy. So this kind of death, this could mean that in your current life you feel like you're someone that's a fighter, like someone that wouldn't let something happen to you or yours. You might be someone that is big on like security, or someone that's big on like just like, yeah, I mean, just making sure that everything you own or people that are of your kin, so to speak, are protected. This might come in the form of security locks on the house, or it could even mean like you're someone that will help pay for your nephew's tuition or something like that, something that provides a sense of security. I feel like you might be someone that is very big about having a sense of security and also helping others have a sense of security. So just keep that in mind. All right, so this is a fun card. This one is a card of enlightenment for the lesson, enlightenment. I'm trying to see where it's linked. So let's go and see where the enlightenment is linked. Okay, so this life is about a learning process, and it's interesting because what you did with the majority of your time was actually a process while you are in the process of this learning process of life, because you go from someone who thinks that they are, what's it called, like just in a bubble. It's like you're in a bubble until this happens. And it's almost like on your day, like this death day proved that you have what it takes. Like you didn't even care. You knew it was coming. Like you knew this would kill you, how you would behave. But there was something about, for the principle of it, you're like, this isn't about like living life or death. This is about not giving in. And it's really interesting because other people would have a different lesson out of this. Like, I feel like other people would have the lesson of, hey, be smart and go with the flow and they won't kill you, like that kind of lesson. But here I feel like it's a different lesson. It's a lesson of standing up for yourself at a very deep level, even though that meant death. There's something about standing up for your principles and also standing up for your mate, the one you love. Like, you're not even just standing up for him. This death, you are standing up for your tribe and for its values and for everything it stood for. And even though it, on a human level, it was very scary for the other people when they see your body, you know, it did keep them in line for the rest of their journey, so to speak, with these bad guys. But on a soul level, it was something that they needed to see and that they respected and that they learned from too. So you learned from it, you helped others learn from it. There was something very respectable and something about the principle of dying in the fashion that you were killed in. It was a sense of enlightenment, like there is something more and greater and bigger in my death if I am taken in this way. It's very interesting. So your lesson it was like a slowly picking up, gradual, until something big happened and then it took off and it all was centered right here. Your lesson happened right here with these deaths, which is really interesting because a lot of times we see lessons throughout a lifetime. So keep that in mind. And also there is something about the process. There's something about the process where if you don't take enjoyment in a long process of things, there's something about you can learn to do that, and there's something very good about that for you. Something about enjoying the process. And I also feel like this has to do with, on a larger scale, like what you're doing right now, what you're going through, learning, getting interested in. There's something about the process. If you learn to enjoy the process and not want to speed it up, not want to just, I want to know everything. There's something very, very good that will come from enjoying every step of the process. It's the kind of thing where you're a child and you're like, I want to be an adult. And when you're an adult, you're like, oh, I just want to be in retirement so I can just enjoy the rest of my days. And then you're on your deathbed and you're like, oh my God, why didn't I enjoy being a child? Why didn't I enjoy those hard years of working through adulthood? Every moment was precious in hindsight. So it's almost like, try to put yourself in a sense of hindsight and start enjoying every step of the process and not seeing it as grueling, not wanting to get through it already. Something about even wanting to slow it down even more and enjoy the time you spend with every step of the process of life, if that makes sense. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I will talk to you soon. Have a good day.